Myself Danesh. I'm working as a senior software engineer in Phases. So today, this is the first session of the Umbraco Headless series. As we know that Umbraco tool is introduced in recently. So we have in Umbraco tool there is a great feature that we are most awaiting. So that is the headless feature. So today we have a speaker, Mr. Diljit Peter. He is my colleague, and we are working for around couple of years in Umbraco. So Diljit, yep. So Diljit, yeah. So I think you can take over the session from now.
Okay, thank you, Danish.
Yeah.
So, hey everyone. So, you may wonder what is headless site. Well, a headless website refers to a modern architectural approach to web development where the front end presentation layer is decoupled or disconnected from the backend content management system. With the latest Umbraco version tool, we now have an officially supported way to build the headless website with Umbraco. If you are wondering how do I get this in order to work, then this is the right session for you. Today we are going to look into the content delivery API, how to install it, and deep dive into all things you need to do in order to do it efficiently. Let's start. Let's start this session with the Umbraco tool installation. In order to install Umbraco tool, first of all, you need to install Umbraco latest template, that is Umbraco template 12.2.0. I have already installed it. Please make sure the requirements to ensure you have everything you need to start your Umbraco project. I'm going to create a Umbraco tool version. So I give project name as Umbraco project. This is the version 12.2.0, and I'm using SQLite as database, and I'm giving my name as the username, user email, and user password is my email. So I have created the Umbraco project. Let's build this project and run. I think it's very simple. We already showed this couple of times, but this time it's Umbraco tool. Okay. If you look at the backend, there are no content nodes we need to configure. In order to do that, I'm going to install the Umbraco starter kit. Before that, if you look at the examine management, there is still delivery API content index, but it's in the gray shade. That is, it's not enabled yet. So first of all, I'm going to install the Umbraco starter kit. For that, I'm going to NuGet. Okay. You can see the dependencies. .NET 7.0. It will support Umbraco 11 and above. install. I'm going to build this and run again. So I got some content nodes here, which came from the Umbraco starter kit. There is home node, and under the home node, there are some product nodes, which has some products, and there are the people node, which contains details of the persons, about us page, blogs, and contact. Okay, then let's jump into the content delivery API registration. So before that, if you are starting this with the fresh Umbraco installation, you only need to enable the content delivery API. If you are upgrading this from Umbraco 11 or any other project, you need to opt in explicitly for using the delivery API. So if you look at this startup, uh, the content delivery API dependencies are already registered there. And in order to enable the content delivery API, I'm going to the app settings JSON file, and under this, I'm going to enable this content delivery API settings. Delivery API. to Access. I'm setting to true, so the API will available for public. I'm adding also additional configuration here. Let's jump into this later in the session. And there are a few other additional configuration for disallowing content type alias and restricts output as JSON. So I'm adding that also. If I want to add anything to disallow, I can add here. So I had the extra additional configuration. So just like I said earlier, the public access determines whether the delivery API should be publicly accessible or not. We can set the value true or false based on our approach. If it's not publicly accessible, we need to use API key for every request to access the data. So I have enabled the configuration and I'm going to run the project. Now, if you look at the exam management and the delivery API content index, it's enabled. Sometimes the Umbraco backend is not aligned with the data which we fetch from the API. In that time, we need to rebuild the index in order to remove the cache, and just doing a rebuild index. And I'm using Postman in order to test this API. Yeah, here I get the data from the newly created Umbraco project, which is home node. The API get tool. This is the starting point. We can consider as this is the starting point where we will fetch all the data from the Umbraco backend itself. Going to add additional property in here and let's check it's coming while fetching the data. So to rerun this API call again under the property section, let's check the Umbraco head feature products keywords. Okay, sample input. Let's sample and index again. Yeah, here you can see the sample input field and Umbraco demo. Like I mentioned earlier, there is some time we will face this cache issue. At that time, we will rebuild the index and we will get the latest data. So one thing to point that this Umbraco tool is comes up with the Swagger API. If you don't familiar with Swagger, Swagger is a vendor for the API documentation. You need to, in order to access Swagger, you just need to type your domain slash Umbraco slash Swagger. From the drop down menu, you can select Umbraco Delivery API. Here you can perform all the API requests, content media, all the parameters are listed here. I'm not getting deep into this. To try it out just for a demo. So I have tried to fetch all the data from the Umbraco back office with the fetch parameter query and filtered with the name products, and I got the data here. So you can perform more actions which are available from the Umbraco API, Umbraco Content Delivery API in this Swagger. For exploring the API endpoints, there are a few concepts to keep in mind, and let's check what are they. The first one is content item JSON structure. Here you can see the created date, updated date, name, content type. These are some basic properties and all editorial properties like MNTP, content selector, content picker, link, which we configured in the Umbraco backend, all are listed here under the property section. The root path, which provides the path of the content item, and it also mm, shows the starting item. Also, if you look at this, you can see if your site is a multi-language, you can see this contains also the cultures. So the start item, if your site is a multi-site setup, sometimes it can difficult to determine the site context of a particular content item. So the start item is very useful at the time of this multi-site development, multi-language site development. And like we perform the post request uh, swagger, we can perform the output expansions. If you look at this hero detailing, it just only contain the basic details here. With the output expansion feature, we can get more details related to this product node and preview. Of course, the Umbraco 12 supports the preview option, which is for the unpublished content. We can pass the preview option in the header to get the unpublished node data. Like I mentioned before, the request response contains cultures for the localization. Now let's jump into the endpoints. Braco content delivery mainly uses four endpoints. One for fetching data by ID, another one is for by route, and another one is for querying, like filter, uh, like filter, sort, like ways. And we can also pass multiple IDs to grab uh, a content by its ID. So let's check one now. So I'm trying to fetch a content by its GUID. So I just change my domain. Going to my Umbraco backend. Let's check if it's possible to fetch the products data by its GUID. Yeah, you can see the results here. The response contains the content type, name, created date, like basic properties, also its root and the properties like page title, body text, etc. You check the backend, you can see these properties here. Maybe we can check the unpublished content, try to access its data from using this API. So I'm going to create a product node. The node is in unpublished state. Let's try to fetch this data. Like I mentioned before, here you need to pass the preview header. In order to access the unpublished data, unauthorized. Okay, I need to pass the API key. Yeah, here you can see the name and other properties. I pass the preview option as true and API key as my API key, which configured in the backend at the app settings JSON file. API key is here. So you can access the unpublished data via the content delivery API. Next, we can access the data using the root. This comes very handy when we create the Umbraco node programmatically. We can find the root. Based on the root, we can get the Umbraco content node data. Okay, if you look at the backend, I'm going to use this contact URL. Here you can see page title, contact form header, contact intro. And I'm going to pass this here. This is the base URL. And I'm going to pass the parameter here, the contact, the root. In earlier request, we passed the GUID to get the particular node data. Here we are using root. Yeah, if you look at this response, you can see the contact node details, the root contact, its properties, all are listed here. Now let's try with the query. Like this, the base URL is same. If you look at this documentation or slide, we can perform expand, fetch, filter, sort, query functions in this request. The base URL is always same. Let's try a query request. Right now, I'm trying to fetch these products which listed under the product node. So I'm going to use this GUID. So I'm going to fetch the child items. For that, I'm going to use the endpoint children and replacing the GUID here. We can use skip and take parameter also here. In paginated situations, we can use skip take parameters, which is very handy. The domain is different. Here you can see there are total 8 items under the product tattoo, and it's a collection. In this, you can see each item tattoo, its properties, and next one unicorn. If you look at this backend, you can find this here tattoo unicorn, and all these properties are listed in this API. So we can perform much more operations with the query request. Let's try a filter one also. For this, I'm trying to fetch the data which are of type blog post, selecting the areas, blog post. I'm trying to fetch all the blog posts from the Umbraco back office using this filter parameter. Uh, Returns the total data as 3. The basic properties are there and the details are also listed here. So these are the basic endpoints which the content delivery API uses. Now let's jump into security. We use API key in order to disable the public access property. Let's try that. And I'm setting this as false. Now, from now on, we need API key in header to access the data. Let's try this API request without API key and with API key. Now, I disable the public access. There is my API key is disabled and I'm trying to send the request. It shows us unauthorized. This is the first level security, which we can add this to this content delivery APIs and enabling this. And yeah, I got the data here. Now I'm trying to do furthermore. Here we can add some content IP areas which we need to disallow. Once we add a content areas here, the public can access. For that, I'm going to create a document type here. Adding few properties here. Going to grant the permission under home node. Can create the create a private document under private home node. So let's try to fetch the data using this UID. Yes, for API. Like, okay. Yeah, I received the data, private data. Now I'm going to add this in the disallowed content type areas section. Let's see what happens here. Yeah, we didn't get the result. If you see my screen, here you can see the status as 404, not found. But in some cases, there are some pitfalls which may encounter at live scenarios. I can demonstrate one for you. If you look at this, mm, the node private is disallowed in the content type. But if I'm running this project and I'm going to this Umbraco backend, I'm going to change this action link here and selecting this private data, which is now not accessible via the API. Changing the ID here. If you look at the result, this exposed my private data. So you guys need to keep this in mind. At some time, everything is available to the public if you try to keep this as private. So in order to tackle this, what we can do is like the private data we can keep parallel to the home node, and for all content section, content pickers, we can select a start node. Right now it's set as home, so this will only pick the nodes under the home node. So we keep the private data as parallel to the home node. Nobody can access. So this is the one pitfall I found while using the content delivery API. So these are the basic security enhancement we can achieve by using the content delivery API. Also, there are some limitations for this content delivery API. First one is protect content. Currently, the delivery API does not support authentication for members, which means protect content cannot be accessed through any of their API endpoints. Also, the preview functionality which we have in the backend, it's not available. The property editors like grid layout, rich text editor, multi-node tree picker, member picker, which are not available through this property request. In rich text editor case, we normally get the text which we going to add in the content section. But if you have experience with the rich text editor, we can add macros in the RT. With the content delivery API, it's not available. So these are the basic things in order to start the content delivery API. And I hope that you enjoyed this session. Thank you. Dinesh, over to you. Dinesh, I think you are on mute.
Yep, sorry. So here we have a question for you. So from Deen Dayal, so the question is, can we use the JWT token to authenticate to secure the endpoints, basically?
At this time, it's a basic authorization which Umbraco Container API provides. We have some extensions method which is available or they are planning to do in this upcoming Umbraco versions. In
So as
our
of
next, okay.
Yep. So as of now, there is no extra authentication available, just the API authentication, right, from the
Yeah,
Umbraco
yeah,
itself. Yeah.
yeah. That's right.
Okay.
From
Okay.
my understanding, yeah.
Yeah. So do we have any Swagger documentation available? I think we have the Swagger documentation available, right? Once we install the Umbraco tool and we enable the API, we can see the Swagger, Swagger documentation, right? I think you missed to show that.
I just showed that you can pass the Umbraco slash Swagger route.
o-
It's available. I showed that in this session, I think.
okay, yeah. So I think it makes sense to the in there also.
Maybe
Yeah,
if you want, I can demo once more. I
yeah,
think you
yeah.
missed
It
that.
would be great. Yeah.
Okay.
In the structure of the JSON actually. So we can see the JSON, right? And if you can explain the structure and how the media will work, then the media is also is in the JSON structure, right?
Yeah, that's right. For the media delivery API, we are going to take that in our next session.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah, great.
I already presented the Swagger documentation.
Yep.
You need to change this from the Umbraco in this drop
Mm-hmm.
down. Here you can see all the API endpoints and you can try it out from here. I just showed a demo here. Select your filter by name. Here I can change the full name. I'm going to change this to home and execute. Okay, at the moment, my content delivery visiting is not allowing the public access. Let's see here. I can add the API key. Yeah, here I can add my API key. Straight. Yeah, here you can see the data.
Okay. So basically, the items is actually that items contains the collection of content data, right?
Yeah, I just
Okay,
search with the name. Oh,
okay.
you can try all the parameter or the
Mm-hmm.
requests from this background.
Yeah. And can you just scroll down a little bit?
Yeah, sure.
So here there is properties. So basically the properties contains all the properties from that content, right? The
Yeah,
content type home.
yeah.
Okay.
If you
So if
look
we
at
are,
this,
uh-huh.
okay, let's go ahead.
uh, yeah. So if we are creating a custom, custom property, I mean, custom
Mm.
property means the properties that is available in Umbraco, we are using that data type and we are creating that property, then it will appear here, right? Without doing anything. Just save and publish in the back office, it will automatically appear here in the
Uh,
API, right? That you
uh,
already shown.
Sometimes we may encounter with the cache issue. At that time, we need to rebuild the syntax. I
Okay.
have just show a demo
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
earlier.
Yeah, makes sense. And one more doubt I have, like it's a
Mm.
use case, like so we can use the RT, right? A rich text editor we can use. So in the
Yeah.
rich, yeah. So in the rich text editor, if you are adding a internal link or the external link, how it will appear here actually? If you are adding an internal link, how it will appear here?
If you add Indian link and setting the property as JSON, it will show the full domain. But if it we configure the session as rich text output as
Mm.
JSON false, it will only contain the root path.
Okay, okay, yeah. So at the same time, we can use this Umbraco installation as the API and as well as the normal content, right? At the without doing anything, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, yeah. So I think it makes sense. So yeah, so
Maybe
yeah, so there is
Dinesh,
yeah, so there is a second question from Farshad. Are the JSON values taken from Umbraco cache or from the database?
it's from the Umbraco cache.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. And the third one is like, is content delivery API is cached or can configure? You already told that it's cached.
Yeah, this
So
cache.
yeah, yeah. I think we caching is also we can we there is we can extend that caching functionality, right? We can use distributed cache. I think so. The same way that in the previous version we can use the distributed cache. So I think in this version also we can use the same. I think we can change that, the functionality or the behavior of the caching. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So I think yeah. the any questions from anyone? Yeah, Nijas is asking like Umbraco also provides an option to extend the filter configurations, right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. In our upcoming sessions, we will take care of that. Danish, can you give outline what are the upcoming
Yeah.
sessions so
Yeah.
everyone get the idea? And
Yeah. Yeah. So we actually so as we as we titled the session like the Umbraco Headless series. So it's a series of sessions, and we are upcoming sessions are the next section in next month. So that is mainly focusing on we are just deep diving into the Umbraco headless feature. So that will cover how we can extend the filter configurations and the caching or whatever things is makes sense to that deep in dive or the advanced version of that session. We will cover that in that session. And the third session is taking by Anju. So that is all about how we can use Umbraco form in the form of a JSON structure. So it's a great session, because in most cases we need to create dynamic forms. So Umbraco has a product called Umbraco form. So by using that Umbraco form, we can create dynamic forms and fields, and that also we can expose as a JSON, and we can integrate into any system without any they don't need to stick into the .NET technology or Umbraco. Umbraco is a different endpoint, and they can integrate in any of the system. So that session is going to taken by Anju. And the fourth session, that is the final session, that is taken from an the a front end expert. So we are not yet planned who is going to taking that session. We are just talking with one of our colleague who is expertised in Next.js basically. So we are planning to integrate all these three topic. Like today, Diljit take a topic that's a basic thing about how we can configure the headless. The next one is some advanced, stuff from about the Umbraco headless. And third session is about form. So we are wrapping these three sections, and the fourth section is we are going to take how we can integrate this Umbraco into a Next.js application, how we can expose the data from the Umbraco, and how we can show it in a Next.js application. So as we all know that Next.js, what is the benefits of Next.js, we can handle the dynamic routing and kind of things. As I think you guys are remembering, right? Diljit just pointed out the importance of fetching the content by URL. So that is very useful when we go with a Next.js application or a React application or any front-end application. We need to find content by root. So at that point, that API is very useful. So those things we will cover in our upcoming session. So we almost planned our upcoming session till January 2024, actually. I mean, next year, January 2024. After that, we are, planning other sessions. And as of now, we don't have any plan. So let's see how Umbraco is emerging. So if there is any new updates from Umbraco, we'll take that as well. Or we are open to taking session from none other than Faces employees. Actually, basically, currently we are almost every sessions is taken from Faces employees. So we are very open to everyone. As we initially stated that it's an open community, so if anyone can take the sessions. We are very happy to include you guys in this session as well. So I just talked with Deen Dayal, and he's very okay. I mean, comfort with to taking that session. So we are just talking with Deen Dayal also. He has a great experience, and he's just in this meetup. Yeah. So that's all about the upcoming sessions and the upcoming plans. So if there is any nothing else in the question, if there is no questions, I think we can wrap up the session. And yeah.